Hey everyone, today we'll be talking about 2D arrays. There's a number of reasons why 2D arrays might be useful. The first reason is that on the AP Computer Science exam, the fourth FRQ is always a 2D array question. So here's an exam from 2018, and we can go down to the very bottom, and we can see that it's dealing with 2D arrays. No matter what year you're taking the exam, the fourth question is always going to be a 2D array question. Of course, you'll also see these in the multiple choice as well. But it's important that you understand how these work, otherwise you'll lose a bunch of points on the exam. Some other reasons are that 2D arrays are actually very important in computer science. So one example I can give you is that in 2015 and also 2016, you might have heard for the first time, a computer beat a world champion at the game of Go. So in that case, that was AlphaGo. And this computer, which was called AlphaGo, had to represent the game of Go in some way. And they used some form of 2D arrays to represent the grid of the game. You can also think of other examples of games that have grids, for example, chess. And in fact, the computer that beat, at the time, the world chess champion, Garry Kasparov, also represented the game as a 2D array. In this case, it's an 8x8 grid. A simple example that we'll look at today is tic-tac-toe. Now, fortunately for us, Google has a very nice tic-tac-toe game here, so I'm actually gonna play it here, try to get a, okay. This looks like it's gonna be a little bit of a draw. Okay, so this is gonna be a draw, but that's fine. So what we'll do is we'll use this tic-tac-toe board as an example to program our first 2D array. So this 2D array, or this tic-tac-toe board, has 3 rows and 3 columns. So in total it has 9 elements. One way you could represent this game is just by having 3 1D arrays. So we could have, for example, int row 1 is equal to, so in our case we have an x, and then we have an O, and then I'm about to put an x in the top right. And then we can do the same thing, and you can see here we're not using 2D arrays yet, we're just using what we've learned so far about 1D arrays. And we need to create a new variable for each row that we're representing here. This is a little bit cumbersome because in the end, for tic-tac-toe we only have 3 variables, but imagine you're programming chess or you're programming Go, then you're going to have many more variables, each one that you have to deal with. It gets cumbersome and annoying, and so we want to have one variable in which we can store everything and represent the entire game. That's where 2D arrays come in. So let's create a 2D array tic-tac-toe game. Whoops, tic-tac-toe, tic-tac-toe. And let's just create it directly. So a 2D array, you can think of it as an array of arrays. So we're going to have, we're just going to put each of these arrays here inside our 2D array. So let's take this, put that there, and then one more. And you'll notice now that, maybe to make it more obvious what's going on, I'll put that there. You'll notice here that we have one variable, tic-tac-toe, which represents the entire board. And this is nice because now I can very easily just use this one variable. I keep saying tic-toe, tic-tac-toe, and play with it. So for example, if I wanted to get, say, this element is located in the 0th row and the 1th column. So we'll do 0, 1 here, and we should, when we run this code, we should get this 0. So let's see if that's what we get. Cool. So you'll notice what I did here is when indexing into the 2D array, I started with the row, and then I looked at the column. A really easy way to remember this is an array always starts with a row. So again, here we have 0th row, first column. Let's say we're going for this one here. Let's say we wanted this one. Well, this isn't the 0th row anymore. This is row 0, 1, 2. So we'll put a 2 here. And it's in the 1th column, just like as the previous one. So let's run that, and we should get our 1 there. Okay, great. We can also, so this is one way of initializing the board. We can also initialize an empty tic-tac-toe board and just tic-tac-toe, let's call it empty. And when initializing an empty one, we just give it the size of the 2D array that we want. So in this case, a tic-tac-toe board is 3 by 3. So we're going to say it's got 3 rows and 3 columns. And then to actually populate it with elements, we would have to do that individually. So we would say at 0, 0, so that would be the top left. We'll put a 1. And then we can do this multiple times. So then 0, 1 will be a 0. 0, 2 will be a 1. And then we go to the next row. So that's row 1, 0 will be a 1, and so on. I think you understand the idea. So we've looked at int 2D arrays, but we can also have 2D arrays that aren't ints. For example, we can have a Boolean 2D array. Tic-tac-toe bool. And in this case, we can actually just go ahead and copy this part. So in our case, we would have true for x's and falses for zeros. So we could also represent the tic-tac-toe board like this. This is just to show you that you can have 2D arrays of all types of things. You can, booleans, doubles, ints, strings, whatever you want. Different types of objects as well work no problem. Let's print something from here. Tic-tac-toe bool. Let's say we want to get the bottom right corner, which in this case is false. This would be located at 2, 2, because it's the, of course we have to print this, because it's the row 2 and column 2. And we should get our false. If we, say we comment out this, we should get our false. There we go, very nice. Another thing I'd like to show you is that we've been working with tic-tac-toe board, which has the same amount of rows and columns. So it's 3 by 3, but you can have 2D arrays that don't have the same amount of rows and columns. So for example, I can represent my keyboard here in a 2D array as well. And I'm just going to represent the, let's do it like this. Whoops. I'm going to represent the left half of my keyboard. So I'll have Q. So there we go. I've just represented the left side of my keyboard in a 2D array. And notice, how many rows and columns does this 2D array have? Well, it's got 3 rows and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. But remember, because when indexing arrays, we always start at 0. If I want to get this T, then I would have to say row 0 and then column 4, because we'd count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's do a little exercise here. Let's try to use this 2D array to print the word wave. So you can pause the video here and think about how you would do this. We'll dive right in. So to get the W, it's located in the 0th row and the 1th column. So we'll just do 0, 1 here. That should give us W. Let's just double check that this works properly. There we go, we've got our W. Let me comment out this part. Then we want our A. So keyboard. Where's our A located? Our A is located at the 1th row and the 0th column. So 1th row, 0th column. Then we want our V, which is located in row 0, 1, 2, column 0, 1, 2, 3. So 2, 3. And finally, let me go down here. finally, we want our E to print the word wave, and E is in our 0th row, and 0, 1, 2, so column 2. So 0, 2. Let's see if this works. Oh. Yeah, forgot the plus. There we go. We've got wave. So these are kind of the 2D array basics. You learned how to two different ways of initializing 2D arrays, and you've learned how the indexing rows, not rows, works. So it starts with the row and then the column, and then goes with the column. And so now that we know all of this, I'd like to go over a sample multiple choice question with you. You should be able to answer this now that you've learned all these things. So let's take a look at this. This is the first multiple choice question in the progress check. So we've got this 2D array. This is what we want, 003, 000, 700, and the question is, what code out of these three options will create this 2D array? So let's look at the first one. Again, pause the video, try it yourself, and then come back to the video. So we're creating an array that's 3 by 3, similar to the tic-tac-toe board. This is fine, it's legit. My array 0, 2, so we're going row 0, column 2, and putting a 3 there. That's perfect. And then we're going to row 2, so 0, 1, 2, and the first, so 0th column, and putting a 7 there. So this looks pretty good. 1 looks good. If we look at 2, it seems like they're doing everything the same, except they switch these two. So they've got a 7 here and a 3 here. So what this will do is just put a 7 here and a 3 there, which is not what you want. And then finally here, they're directly initializing the array, 003, 000, 700, which is exactly the array they have here. So the answer should be 1 and 3. Let's see if that's correct. Is it not showing me if it's correct or not? Ah, yes, answer D. Perfect. I hope that helps, and good luck on the exercises.